Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and today is October the 26th. I'm looking forward to doing your spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our H.O.O.D Recovery Services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get into the meditation. Let's see what we have here. The impact of consistency. A group needs the consistent commitment of its members to show up and take part in its meetings. Upon that commitment rests the group's stability. Without it, no group can survive long. It works, Tradition 7. Consistency is a key part of the messages we first receive in NA. Keep coming back, 90 meetings in 90 days, meeting makers make it. It's suggested that we find a home group and become a home group member, not merely visit it. We're encouraged to get a service commitment there and to show up for that commitment. When we lack consistency in our groups, when we're not kept informed by our service body reps, when we don't provide the human or financial resources needed to carry out our request, our groups and services aren't as strong. NA suffers as a result, and we miss potential opportunities to help newcomers. The direct impact of consistency may occur beyond the walls of a meeting. Many of us live in densely populated areas with plenty of groups to participate in. Many other NA communities are limited, only a few meetings, sometimes days and considerable distance apart, and perhaps too few members to fill service positions. Many groups thrive for decades, never dark for any reason. Others burn bright, then falter. Others struggle to stay afloat week by week. At times, it's a real misfortune to lose a group. Other times, a loss blooms into a new opportunity. There are way too many home group scenarios to describe here, but one thing we know is true. It takes reliable and committed NA members to turn and keep the lights on at any meeting, service committee, or NA event. And it's no exaggeration to say that being consistent saves addicts' lives, including our own. To carry the message of recovery and to conduct necessary NA business, we need to show up with our time, funds, skills, and willingness. We take on tasks of all sizes and shapes. And in the spirit of rotation, we mentor others to step up. What can I do to keep my home group more stable? How can I help others become more involved and consistent in their contributions to home group stability? Where do I need to step aside in the spirit of rotation so that others can grow from consistent service to our NA community? I like that. That's a deep meditation, and it's not like it would take so long to unpack this. It's unreal because the topic of doing service work and being consistent, because we come into the program, we hear, keep coming back, do 90 and 90, get a home group, commit to some level of service to that home group, show up and do it as often as you're committed to it, right? As you agreed. Some people, that becomes so rote, that becomes such a cliche to hear all of those things that they really don't give much consideration as to what it actually means. To be able to make a decision, excuse me just for a second. Excuse me. So to be able to make a decision about what meeting you're going to go to today, and maybe there's several in your areas to choose from. My particular area, as far as in-person meetings, there's generally speaking at least one, if not two, meetings every day that you can actually pop into and attend a face-to-face. That's now, right? Um, we used to have a beautiful meeting that was a 10 a.m. meeting every day of the week. You can make that meeting, and you can make it at 7 p.m. as well. So the support for that particular home group isn't what it used to be. So they're down to 2 days out of the week that you can do the 7 p.m. meeting. Then another home group that was birthed from dissonance with the home group decided to do the 10 a.m. meeting twice a week. There still isn't a consistent place other than the virtual NA meeting that you can actually make a meeting at 10 a.m. in the morning. There's so much room in this area for increase. But the problem in this area is that there's so few people that are willing to actually commit to be consistent in service so that people that can't make it at certain times can still have a meeting. And so that's a big issue. But still, who's complaining? You still have virtual NA meetings you can make. They've somehow have perfected the system well enough where you can actually get online and find a meeting anywhere in the world at pretty much any time of the day that you're available to make an NA meeting. And for people that don't have the experience of doing face-to-face meetings, they came into recovery during the pandemic that hit, right? In 2019, shutdown was in 2020. Those people that have stayed clean since 2020, they're not going to say that there's no value in the virtual meetings because they've stayed clean. They really had to make an adjustment when the face-to-face meetings, the brick and mortar meetings started to reopen. And there's some brick and mortar meetings that never stop meeting, right? And so for that individual that just came in 2020 or late 2019, doing an in-person meeting was a challenge. And some of them still will tell you, I'm not comfortable. I'd rather do a virtual meeting sitting in the comforts of wherever I'm at, and that I can get a meeting any day. Their recovery is strengthened as a result of it. And that's why now I'm posting an international meeting that I frequent that is 24/7. And there's several in both fellowships, there's several that you can attend at any time. And so I just want you to be mindful of the impact of consistency, the impact of being able to do service work for a group that may be struggling. Maybe the group that you're doing service work doesn't need you to continue to do that service year after year after year. Maybe in the spirit of rotation, you can start to train one of your sponsees or let someone shadow you so that they can take on the responsibility if they're interested. And because you have a history of being consistent, maybe you can go support some of these other areas that are actually struggling to have people even come into a meeting. You know, I am very much a part of a meeting on Mondays that sometimes there's two people, sometimes there's four, sometimes there's six, sometimes there's more than that. If there's a celebration of someone's clean time, it's very intimate, it's very small. And I can't tell you the number of times that I was like, what in the world? Why am I even continuing to try to keep this particular atmosphere that's intimate available? And then all of a sudden people started showing up and helping. And like I say, sometimes it's just us, but we all know that it's on the list, it's available, it's a valid NA meeting. And anyone that wants to come along and do service work or become a home group member, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Send me a message below if you're interested in attending the Zoom version. It's a hybrid meeting. It's the only meeting that I know of in the area that is hybrid, meaning that the Zoom platform is running at the same time that the in-person meeting is running. And I remember a couple came in one time and they just saw like four of us sitting there. And we were so happy to see them come into the Zoom platform, right? And they see us sitting there doing the readings, and they were not impressed. And they left. It was too small. I assumed that they felt like it was just too small for them. And that's ridiculous to me because it only takes two people to make a meeting, right? And it's at a time where there's a need for a meeting. And so I would just encourage you, if you're a person that you know you're consistent, you could add your gifts, your strengths to the atmosphere of recovery. There's some areas that struggle like that. This particular meeting I'm talking about could fold, and probably no one in the area would miss it, right? It could fold, and there would still be other meetings in person on Monday to make, and there would still be virtual NA meetings to make, because I lived in a very blessed area for recovery. Not everyone does. Maybe some of you know of some meetings that are in danger of closing. And if they close, it's going to deeply affect those individuals that need access to NA meetings in that area. Maybe you can do a road trip once or twice a week and support different meetings. And I think that would be so beautiful. That's something that even I would be interested in doing. So just find where you fit in and get in, whatever it is that you can bring to the table to make sure that the doors are still open. I have some friends that they're not related in the sense of Narcotics Anonymous, but more in a secular sense. And one of the concerns that they have in the rural area is that the 12 steps are not available. People that are addicted to meth in their community in this rural area, they would have to travel at least not an hour, 45 minutes in order to get to the closest meeting. And they can do that only once or twice a week. So some areas don't have it as well as your area has it, or even as well as my area has it. So I want you to think about that. Like, we need consistency. We need to be able to make sure that this program that we've benefited from freely is available to as many people as possible. Fentanyl is no joke. It is today from 8 o'clock to about 4 o'clock today. I'm going to be attending a whole day of informational exchange on drug addiction, substance use disorder, and discussing it and having people present in a way, keynote speaker starts, I think, at 9 o'clock. And people are going to be gathering from all over Southwest Michigan at this university today. And we're going to be talking about the opioid use disorder. We're going to be talking about the impact of it and what is going on and what needs to change to be able to help people successfully get the help that they need. And a big piece of it is what you and I do. A big piece of it is keeping the doors open so people have a place to run to and learn how to live a different way. Because you can detox off of whatever your drug of choice is, but just detoxing is not going to be enough. It gives you a reprieve. But during that reprieve, to have access to a program like Narcotics Anonymous is the most amazing peer support thing that you could even talk about. They've taken coaching, recovery coaches, and peer support, certified peer support. They've taken all of this to a whole nother level so that they can make sure that when people are leaving treatment, that they're connected to individuals that have enough information to not just help you from the anonymous side of it, but can help you from the well-known side of it. I won't say non-anonymous, but help you in a sense where it's not a secret that you're seeking out their help for support, because they're showing that what Narcotics Anonymous has always said, the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. There is no replacing the lived experience. And it's better to have people come alongside and be educated in the details of addiction, but they have the lived experience, right, of living clean and the support of a 12-step anonymous program so that you become more comfortable, right? The newer member becomes more comfortable as they leave treatment, that now they have someone that can walk this out with them until they can get comfortable in a home group and find a sponsor. I will always, always support sponsorship and the concept of it. I think certified recovery coaches and peer support, I think that is a beautiful addition that has happened over time. But it will never be able to replace the accessibility and the attraction of having a sponsor-sponsee relationship, in my own personal opinion. And so for those individuals releasing from treatment that have coaches, that's amazing. That is so amazing that you are of the group, the generation in recovery that has access to that coming out of treatment. That's amazing. However, you still are going to need, I find like some people have this reservation in their head because they have a recovery coach, they have a certified peer support individual, and it is sanctioned by their state. There's a whole certificate that comes with that training. There's a price that has to be paid for a person to be trained and receive their certification. You have to pass a whole exam, right? It's not easy to be able to do. So for those individuals that accomplish that, kudos. But don't forget where you came from. Don't forget how you got that. You got that through the therapeutic value of one addict helping another. I mean, I've met some people that are peer support, certified peer support individuals that do not believe in the atmosphere of recovery that takes place in our NA meeting. And if that's you, that's a problem. That's a problem because you're no longer a part of that same process that you got clean in. It's kind of like you're thumbing your nose at how you got started. Don't knock the newcomer and their hopes and their dreams down with that rhetoric. Do not, because there's a spiritual consequence for that. Now, I don't know what it would be, but I do know that I will never, ever, right? I will never, ever knock something like Narcotics Anonymous, that this 12-step program, what it has done for me and what it has brought, the beauty it has brought into my life, the ability to write the steps and work the steps and apply spiritual principles and do service work in a community and be about attraction and not promotion. I will never knock that. And I hope that you don't either. Because that's like a for money, for profit type sponsorship. And that's not what this is about. That is an additional beautiful piece that is being added now because people see that there's money in it now. And if you're like me, like I can talk about recovery all day long. So it's a natural fit and it can bring income into your life. But at the end of the day, you received it freely, give it freely. If that's your job, let that be your job. That's separate. But what we do here in the fellowship of NA, what I do even doing this podcast, there's no profit to this. I mean, it's about attraction. Only those that are interested are even going to listen long enough. And there's no profit to this. There's a benefit, that a service that I'm interested in providing. But Hood Recovery Services is about offering hope on demand. There's no profit to this. Absolutely none. So I'm not conflicted in any kind of way. I am not. And I just want you to know and understand my heart about consistency and service work. And I'm like in tears because Narcotics Anonymous, the program, which included part of the fellowship, but not always for me. Just learning about who I am through the 12 steps has opened up a whole new world for me. And people that don't have access to that, it breaks my heart. This is something every suffering addict should have access to freely, freely, freely. And so I want for you today to consider how you can participate in being a part of the attraction, and what can you do to contribute to your home group, or how can you help train other people to step up in service positions so that you can go on and help other communities that do need support. My name is Mighty Stream. I have so much on my plate today that I wanted to get up very early to make sure that I did this. But now I have a huge final paper due by 6 p.m. tonight, and I do not see the time where I would be able to accomplish that unless I get up early to do it. And so as we move on to about 4 o'clock a.m., I want to say to you, when you wake up and when you hear this, I want for you to have a beautiful day on purpose. This thing called recovery is the best thing since sliced butter bread. I want you to enjoy your day on purpose, and I will be talking to you tomorrow. Take care, guys.